Now we're going to set up the direct materials budget. So after we complete the production budget, now we're able to do this one. So it says at Royal Company, 5 pounds of material are required per unit of product. Management wants materials on hand at the end of each month to equal 10% of the following month's production needs. On March 31st, there are 13,000 pounds of material on hand, and material cost is 40 cents per pound. So before anything, I've taken this production budget that we just completed and copied it over here on the right with one addition. I also did an extended production budget including July. So July's budgeted unit sales are 25,000 plus the desired ending inventory. Remember, management wants ending inventory to be 20% of the next month's budgeted sales in units. And if we look way at the beginning, the budgeted unit sales for August was 15,000, so 20% of 15,000 is 3,000 units, so the total units we need for July are 28,000, minus the beginning inventory of 5,000, which was June's ending inventory, means I would need to produce 23,000 units in July. So just keep that in mind here, but let's go ahead and do the production budget here. So I took the required production for each month in units and copied it over here at the top. And for the quarter is just the sum. Now it says that at Royal Company, 5 pounds of material are required for each unit of product. So for April, if I need to produce 26,000 units and each unit requires 5 pounds of materials, I will need 26,000 units times 5 pounds of materials. That means I need a total of 130,000 pounds of materials for May. But what's the desired ending inventory in terms of materials? Well, we know that management wants to end each month with 10% of the following month's production needs. So the first thing we would have to do is find out what the production needs are for May. So let's first find out all the production needs for each month and then for the quarter. So in May, I will need to produce 46,000 units and each unit requires 5 pounds of material. So I will need 230,000 pounds of material. And I have some calculations in here that I'll remove here so we can do that all together. Same thing with June, we'll do 29,000 units that I need to produce, but each unit requires 5 pounds of materials. So we need a total of 145,000 pounds of materials for June. To find the total for the quarter, I'm simply just going to add up each month's production needs. So for the quarter, I need a total of 505,000 pounds of materials. So now let's focus on April itself. So in April, we know we'll need 130,000 pounds of raw material. But how much raw material do I want to end the month with? Well, management wants us to end each month with 10% of the following month's production needs. So 10% of the next month's production needs, well, next month we need 230,000 pounds of raw material. So we'll just find out what 10% of 230,000 is, which is 23,000. So if I know I need 130,000 for production, but I want 23,000 left over, that means overall I need 153,000 pounds of raw materials. But how much, I wouldn't necessarily need to buy all of that if I started the month with something. And it says here on March 31st, there are 13,000 pounds of raw material on hand. So that's what I started April with. So now I'm going to subtract out my beginning inventory of 13,000 from the 153. So that shows that we would only need to, of the 153, only would need to purchase 140,000 pounds of raw materials to meet production needs, but also to have the necessary amount left over to start the new month with. Now we'll do the same thing here for May. I know I need 230,000 pounds of raw materials for May, but now we're going to add the desired ending inventory. So I want to end this month with 10% of the next month's production needs. So next month I need 145,000 pounds. So we're going to find out what 10% of 145,000 is, which should be 14,500. So if I need 230,000 pounds of raw materials for production, but I also want 14,500 left over. That means I need, in total, 244,500 pounds of raw materials just for May. But I don't necessarily need to purchase all of that. I would have started May with something, right? Because I ended April with something. So April's ending inventory becomes May's beginning inventory. So we're going to subtract out from the 244,500 May's beginning inventory, which is simply April's ending inventory here. So when we take 244,500 minus the 23,000, that means we only need to buy, or budgeted amount, we estimate we'll only need to buy 221,500 pounds of materials for May. Now we get to June. We know in June we need 145,000 pounds of raw material just for production, but we also want some ending inventory in terms of raw material as well. So how much raw material do we want to end June with? Well, 10% of the next month's production needs. Here's why we figured out in July. So in July, we knew that we needed to produce 23,000 units, and each unit requires 5 pounds of material. So for July, we require 115,000 pounds of raw materials. 10% of that is what I want to end June with. So we're going to take 10%, multiply that by July's production needs in terms of raw material to get 11,500 here. So if we know we need 145,000 pounds of raw materials in June, we also want 11,500 pounds of raw material left. That means in total for June, we need 156,500 pounds of raw materials for June. We don't necessarily need to buy all of that because we started June with something, because we ended May with something. So June's beginning inventory is May's ending inventory. So when we subtract out that 14,500, we see that we only need to buy 142,000 pounds of raw materials for the month of June. And here is, we just have all those totals for the quarter. So we need 505,000 pounds of raw materials for the entire quarter, plus the desired ending inventory. Remember, what we end the quarter with is simply what we end June with. So for the quarter, we would need 516,500 pounds of raw material, minus what we started with gives us how much we would need to buy. So what we start the quarter with is simply what we started April with. So the total raw material needs for the quarter minus the beginning raw materials for the quarter is how many pounds of raw materials I would need to buy for the quarter. So that is that for the direct materials budget. So now we're going to use this budget to figure out what our expected cash disbursements are related to materials for the quarter.